In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to DebateCrypto. Crypto fam, it's your boys, CryptoKeeper, BlockchainCrusader up in the house. Are you guys ready for What If Wednesday, Miguel?
100%.
You guys listened this morning. Miguel calls me and he's like, "Hey, I got something to tell you." And I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "We have a topic way in advance." And because a lot of times, guys, it's like midway through the day, right? Full disclosure, it's like midway through the day, and Miguel and I are spitballing back and forth, and we're trying to really nail down the What If Wednesday. What are we really going to be questioning? What are we going to be talking about? And Miguel had it bright and early in the morning, so I'm excited to get into it. Miguel, what are we talking about tonight?
So we're talking about the whole Russia scandal, right? We're talking about them getting into crypto, and what does that mean for the United States, right? What if the United States is being forced into Bitcoin adoption right now because of what Russia has done?
Dude, I have so many questions with this. We're gonna have a really good back and forth on this one tonight. I'm super excited, guys. If it's your first time here, make sure that you guys subscribe, smash the likes, do all the things that we love, and telling YouTube that you guys enjoy the stream. Actually, two things I'm going to ask tonight. If you could share out the stream, that's huge, right? That obviously helps. And then make sure that you guys follow us on Twitter. We're trying to build our Twitter following. It's DebateCrypto OG. So make sure the OG is on there, because there is an imposter. And as just a reminder, we are getting ready to give away that 1 year of Market Cipher to someone in our academy. If you guys are looking for, we do weekly seminars on Sundays where we're teaching. We have our Telegram chat, which is freaking fantastic. A lot of smart people in there, not just Miguel and I. If you guys are just looking to get more involved, to learn more so that you can make better decisions, check us out. So Miguel, what actually, hold on a second.
Market Overwatch time, man.
Yeah, talk to me about it. You got to pull it up.
Let me share my screen real quick. We'll get right to it. So here it is.
Miguel, we forgot.
What?
We forgot. Do you want, before we get into the What If Wednesday, you want to do it, or you want to do it
yeah,
now?
we'll do it before we get into the What If
All right,
Wednesday.
All right.
Yeah. All right, here it is, guys.
We are ultimately, just want you guys to know, we're really focusing on Miguel and I, having fun and back and forth, and we want you guys to be involved. So we don't want to be just talking at you guys where Miguel takes a turn, I take a turn. No, we want this to just be a full flowing conversation at all times, where you guys can jump in, be involved, kick back, relax. If you guys want to support the channel, we've got super chats on, all the things, guys. We're just super excited for the stream, as always.
100%. So,
homie.
Market cap back under $2 trillion. Unfortunately, it's down 17% over the last day, apparently. Let me do a quick refresh here, see if that's even right. And it was not. They were trolling me. They were trying to rug pull me. So we're still above $2 trillion, right? Up 1.3% today. Bitcoin up practically 2% in 24 hours, up 20% on the week. Ethereum also up 20% on the week, 4%, almost 5% on the day. What else we got here? Tether doing the same thing XRP is doing. Not just kidding, guys. BNB up 15% on the week, 3% 24 hour. XRP up 45%. The XRP army must be, so excited to finally have a pump after 5 years of nothing. But that, it is what it is. Cardano also having a small move here, 15%. Cardano army must also be excited because Cardano has also not been moving. Must be all those Cardano NFTs. Solana, I don't know. Is their blockchain still on, or is that thing still off?
No, currently it is maybe under repair,
under maintenance.
Maintenance.
Yeah. 14% on the week. Terra Luna 19% on the week. Also been having a nice little pump. And Avalanche rounding it off as top 10. Finally, Shiba Inu and all that trash is gone from the top 10, up
Bro, but look,
31% as
it's still
well.
up
9%
59.84% on the week, dude.
on the week, bro.
It's just annoying. That's what
It's
it is.
madness, dude. Madness.
It is crazy. Let's take a peek over at Market Cipher here right quick. Let me share my screen. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah,
And if
guys.
I can find it, that'd be great. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, so let's take a peek here. All right, so I was doing a little drawing a little bit ago. First of all, let me look down at Market Cipher here. We don't have a ton going on. Whoopsie, meant to click this. We don't have a ton going on with Market Cipher here. We have got the VWAP moving on up. The money flow is moving up. We've got the momentum wave on the move. So these are all good things, right? We're definitely, they're bullish things. We don't have a green dot, a double green dot, or anything like that. I am currently on the 4 hour. We can also zoom out to the daily as well. But a little bit ago, I was doing a little drawing, so I started looking, right, and I zoomed in on the RSI. And I saw we were, still a little overbought, but only at about 60, right? So that's totally acceptable. We're still in the, kind of that neutral lane with that. We are actually on the MACD. Man, that just we are just kind of, it's pretty flat when we look at it, right? But we are ultimately, if you're looking at the histogram, dark red to light pink is a move toward the upside. So that's always a bonus. And then, yeah, we are holding that. What are we at here, Miguel? The red is the is that the 20 now? Yeah. I don't know if you
On
moved
the EMA
the EMA.
lines, yes,
Yeah,
the EMA,
yeah.
the red is the 20. Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
so we pulled away from the 20 a little bit, like up through, through here. And as a general rule, we will revert back to basically the mean or the average. And so what I was looking at was, Miguel thinks I just like to draw triangles. So today I decided not to just draw a triangle, right? I wanted to
You
show
drew a
you
square,
I wanted to show you guys we actually have
rectangle.
a nice a rectangle. We have a nice little channel. The problem with this is, okay, this more often than not will break to the downside. Now we've got a lot of support at let's see, where is this at? We got quite a bit of support right here at about 43, and this continues all the way up to like 43, 43. We've got a lot of support going all the way across there. If we zoom out, we've got a nice little bit of support all the way through here. Boom, 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 boom. So that's encouraging. But yeah, without further ado, that's
Let's
kind of
get
what
into it.
yeah, let's get
Let's get
into it.
into
So
the meat and potatoes. Everyone is here for the what if,
that's right.
the
They
United
don't want to hear
States.
me talk about freaking charts. They want to hear about the mother Russia. Miguel, here at Debate Crypto, we question everything.
Trust nothing.
That's right. And guys, you're going to hear a lot more where that came from. That's going to be one of our that might be, we'll actually drop a 1 in the chat if you like that, right? We've been kind of talking about, like we're doing these debates, and we've got our, the new thing for those of you that missed it. We've got the devil's advocate, where at any point during the live stream, one of us can call devil's advocate, and the person that calls it gets to pick whether they're arguing one side or the other and basically we have a little mini debate between the two of us. So we're really focusing things on, the debating side of an educational experience for you guys. And so when we say, drop a 1 in the chat if you like the idea of question everything, trust nothing, or drop a 2 if you've got something else on your mind. And if you do have something else on your mind next to the 2, I would like to hear I want to hear some suggestions, dude. You know what I mean? I want to hear some suggestions. So
100%. Yeah.
all right, so Miguel, Russia. First of all, let me read like 2 seconds of this article. I don't want to read a lot of it, but let me read like 2 seconds of this real quick. All right, so there it is. Okay. So Russia moves to recognize crypto as a form of currency. Russia's draft legislation will reportedly be drawn up by no later than February 18th and is expected to regulate crypto as a form of currency. Now, pause. as a form of currency. We're going to get into the nuances that you're going to actually hear in just a couple paragraphs that I'm going to read real quick, but that's one of them. The Russian government and the country's central bank have reached an agreement to draft legislation or amend existing laws recognizing crypto as a form of currency, according to a statement Tuesday. The agreement is a significant reversal after the Bank of Russia last month proposed banning miners and several other crypto operations over concerns that they could endanger the country's financial system. Miguel, why would they reverse course? Let's just get into it. What is going on here? Why would they go from, hey, we're banning everything, to reversing course and saying, hey, we're going to recognize this as a form of currency?
It's because they're not dumb, dude. They understand that, they've been trying to suppress prices. Everyone's been trying to suppress Bitcoin, suppress the crypto market as low as possible for as long as possible, so that they can get in a good position. They can accumulate, they can buy, they can set up their form of attack. They know they can't defeat this enemy, the Bitcoin, right? They can't. It's inevitable. It will take over, it will conquer fiat, but they're trying to figure out how can we coexist with this thing without completely being destroyed, right? So how can we corner the market? How can we somehow still have some control and make it seem like we still have power in this structure, even though Bitcoin really does take the power all away from centralized banking, right? So that's what's happening, and that's what's been happening. They've been putting out the FUD and fear about, banning Bitcoin, banning Bitcoin. India said the same thing. 100 million times. China said
Yeah.
the same thing, right? And then India ended up going pro Bitcoin anyways. Now Russia's going pro Bitcoin. And if Russia's going pro Bitcoin, it's only a matter of time before China flips back and goes bullish on Bitcoin again.
Yeah, I think the whole thing gives me a little bit of a headache. It's like, why all the positioning? It's like, what, I believe that you're right, Miguel. First of all, for a country to want to hold prices down tells me that they have a lot more than just a small, like, if that's really the case, there's a lot more to it than that. And so I want to start off with one of them. So there has been word that China and Russia have made basically a unilateral pact between the two of them, that, and this is in talks. This is not like been inked, but ultimately they're talking about. Okay, back up. The United States basically said to Russia that if you decide that you're going to step foot into Ukraine, right, we are going to no longer allow you access to the SWIFT system. For those of you that don't know what the SWIFT system is, that is literally probably I don't even know if it's the largest or not, but it's probably the largest, the largest number as it relates to transactions moving all around the world. That's how money is wired here, there, everywhere. That's what all the XRP maxis will tell you they're going to take over to move money around the world. Okay. So, what basically, because of that, I think this Bitcoin thing plays into, and I'd love to hear what you think, Miguel. They said that China and Russia are essentially talking about teaming up and saying they've made this unilateral decision that, hey, if this happens, or maybe we just make it happen, we will just not transact in US dollars. Dude, the US dollar is the world reserve currency. Are we losing our grip? Like what happens if two of the world superpowers, because really there's three world superpowers, if you really look at it, I believe. You've got the United States, you've got China, and you've got Russia. You could argue the what that looks like in terms of who's first, whatever. But if two of those superpowers say world reserve currency, who, right? Like, what is that? Are we losing our grip? Is this a bad thing, Miguel? I mean, especially those two huge superpowers talking about teaming up.
Yeah, it is bad news, right? And this goes back to what we spoke about, I think about a week or two ago, that Bitcoin is a national security threat, right, to the United States. The world reserve currency for the dollar is on the brink. It's dying. It's no longer going to be there. And honestly, I wanted to bring this up on Around the Blockchain today, but the question was not asked. The topic was not brought up.
I
I
told you,
was
bro. You just need
The
to say,
topic was not
listen.
brought up.
You just need to tell them. You say, listen, I know you guys got a great thing going here. I hate this question that you're asking me right now. So let me talk to you about something that I feel to be important. That's
So
what you do, bro.
I thought they were going to bring up the Russia thing. I saw that BitBoy had spoken about it earlier in his live, but I thought it should have been a good thing to have been brought up for multiple people to ask. But whatever. The whole deal is with Russia getting now into cryptocurrency, into Bitcoin, seeing it as a currency, this is a huge problem to the dollar. Why? Because what's happening over here with the dollar is we're talking about, hey, we might go into a black swan event, right? Interest rate hikes. We might go into deflation, which will we use the word deflation like it's a good thing, and yes, it's a good thing dollar wise, but deflation will lead us pretty much into a deep recession,
Oh yeah.
possibly a depression. So
Hmm.
it's going to be economically terrible for the people, right? So meanwhile, we're in a depression in the world reserve currency, the dollar, right? The whole United if the United States is in a depression, what is the rest of the world going to be at? Right? What happened in 1929 when the depression hit? Everybody was feeling the pain
Yeah.
worldwide.
Hmm.
So, that being said, now we're in 2022. If another depression situation were to occur,
Okay.
many countries would think to themselves, how can we not what can we do to avoid these situations ever again? Why should we depend on the United States dollar and their mechanism and how they behave with it on our livelihood, right? It's they played around with money that they didn't have, and now they've caused this depression, which has
Ooh.
effectively led to dealing with my country, and I don't want to deal with that anymore. I don't want to live with their boot on my neck anymore. What's the option? Russia and China are going to be like, hey, remember this Bitcoin thing? Yeah, we don't need to deal with the dollar. We don't need to deal with sanctions. We don't need to deal with anything. Hop on the train. And Bitcoin is a way out. So I think if we do go into a depression or a deflationary whatever that everybody's calling for, like BitBoy, I think that's actually bullish for Bitcoin long term, and more countries would jump onto Bitcoin and have hyper Bitcoinization happen because of this.
So I saw something in the chat. And that's a great thought, Miguel. I absolutely I agree with a lot of that. But check this out. So Cameron, I'm on board with you, brother. So Cameron says, also strange how in the same day Russia recognizes Bitcoin as a currency, the USA seizes $3.6 billion
Yep,
worth
24 hours
of,
apart.
right? Yeah. And here's what Miguel and I were talking about earlier. Like, is this the new space race? Because when the space race originally came about, my understanding, and I was not alive for this. Okay, I know you guys think I'm old. I know Miguel's got an old joke coming in.
Bruh,
He's got
come
one
on.
chambered. He had one
Come
chambered, but I
on,
just took
man.
it out of there. Right.
I know you were documenting the space race. Don't lie to these people.
um, it literally wasn't. It was about it literally at the end of the day, it was about a flex. It was about saying we got there first, okay? And basically we were able to position off of that. Now, if you ask Miguel, we didn't get there first, right? Because neither of us got there, right? Is that
Regardless of whether we got there or not, what happened? Russia made moves. They got to space, right? They made technological moves and they flexed on the world. Hey, look what we're doing. And the United States said, "Oh shit,
yeah.
we gotta do something about this," right? So now, fast forward 60 years later, whatever it was,
Mhm.
here we are again.
But
Russia's
with
making a move.
currency.
Russia's making a move with currency, right? Smart money,
Yeah.
programmable money, and saying, look at the move we're making. And the United States is saying, oh, no.
I think man, so I can see so many awesome things that could come of this, but I could see some bad coming of this too. So let's talk this through. So, first of all, right off the bat, great thing, obviously, if you're a Bitcoin holder, if you're in cryptocurrency, whatever, for a world superpower to actually now, and let me kind of talk about the nuance that I started to bring up earlier. There is a huge difference between a country recognizing it as legal tender and them recognizing it as a form of currency. Okay. Legal tender versus a form of currency. Let me tell you the difference. Legal tender says, hey, like we will accept this anywhere you go. It is a legal way for you to pay, right? Form of currency is, I mean, think about this form of currency. If I am over in the Philippines and I have got the the Chinese yuan in my pocket, right? And they don't accept that there. Well, it's still a form of currency, but it's not accepted there. And so ultimately, that's what they're saying. That's the distinction. They're saying, hey, we recognize it as a form of currency. The next step is the step towards, hey, this is legal tender. And so the great part about it is, hey, if you hold Bitcoin, now you have one of the world's superpowers recognizing Bitcoin. One of the things that I think worries me about it is, where is this ultimately headed? Because not because of the Bitcoin part of it, but because we have China and Russia having talks of teaming up, right? And saying we don't need the US. And whether the US wants to admit it or not, we get freaking everything from China, right? And we don't have a good relationship with the Russians, right? So we putting ourselves into a position, right? Because if we lose the world reserve currency status and lose the ability to trade, to transact with China and Russia at the same time, I think we're going to be in trouble, man. I think economically we're already in trouble, but I think that would put a hurting on it. And I'm almost wondering whether almost it's like, hey, I'll bite my nose off to spite my face here, where Russia and China say, hey, you know what? That's fine. We don't need to be a part of the SWIFT system. We'll start using Bitcoin. And they essentially like are pulling away from and saying, you're going to hurt us. Well, then we're going to put you in a pretty tight spot here. You're either going to jump on board with Bitcoin, and now you have no power over or control. It's a decentralized, system, or you're going to back off of whatever it is that I do. I think that it's positioning, and I think that we're at a spot where like war could be very, very, very realistically right around the corner.
Yeah,
Do you disagree with that?
I agree. Who would have thought that in 2022 we would have been talking about a potential Bitcoin war,
Yeah.
a war
World War
over Bitcoin?
Bitcoin. World War Bitcoin. Where's he at? Where's Alex at?
Yeah, dude. I
Shout
mean,
out to World War Bitcoin.
it's very possible, right? They're strong army the United States into saying, "Hey, you're going to give up the U.S. dollar, the U.S. dollar as a reserve, right? We're going to use Bitcoin," and the United States has to respond with, "Okay, we're losing this. This is a battle that we cannot win. Now we need to turn it into our favor, right? Their only possible way out is I hold more Bitcoin than you do. So if you buy Bitcoin, you're just helping me, right?" So that's the only way out for now the countries to compete in the world of Bitcoin for power is I hold more, I have more hash power than you do. That's what's important. So it's you're favoring the country, and then that makes it seem like, yeah, we're under control. We're still everything's okay, guys. Don't worry. The United States isn't losing anything. We're good, and they have to spin it that way. They can't have the article saying United States no longer number one supreme power, right? Russia and China defeat the United States. Circumvent U.S. dollar uh, sanctions and yada
Well,
yada yada.
Sean
You can't have that.
Sean said it perfectly, right? This is absolutely perfect. Russia and China are joining together to counterbalance US strength. With China wanting Taiwan and Russia wanting Eastern Europe, they know that sanctions are possible.
Yep.
Bitcoin is the hedge against the sanctions. We always thought that Bitcoin was the hedge against inflation, right? Well, Bitcoin seems to be the hedge against the sanctions, i.e., the US. Listen, the reality is, whether we like it or not, and guys, I was in the Marine Corps. I bring that up because I am a patriot. Okay. So I'm not talking bad about our country, but what I want to say is, whether listen, if I had a family member that did something that was absolutely asinine and made no sense and put my family in a bad position, it doesn't mean that I don't love my family member. It means I don't love the decisions that were made. And as a result, we now have problems. Okay. So let me make that clear. We have put ourselves into a position. And the problem for the rest of the world is, because we're the world reserve currency, we didn't just put ourselves into a position. And so I think that man, with as crazy and chaotic as our political,
Situation.
agenda situation is, without getting deep into that, I think the world is looking at us and almost chuckling, like, is this really where we're at right now? And if so, you're going to tell me what I can and can't do I've got a little something for you, because they know that at this point, the thing that we do have besides our military is that world reserve currency. And I just don't think, we've talked about this black swan event, Miguel. What a black swan event, right? If we
Yeah.
absolutely World War Bitcoin, like if that were to, excuse me, if that were to take place, what happens? So let me say this, or let me ask you this, Miguel, what your thoughts are. So let's say, what if we did, and this is probably what we should have titled it. What if we went to war? What if World War Bitcoin? So what does that look like for Bitcoin right off the bat, Miguel? Talk to me about that.
So what if we went to war for Bitcoin? What
So
would
we
that look
go to
like?
war over what's going on with
Like
China, Russia,
physical,
whatever.
like a hot war. Like we're going to
We're
physical war.
going we're going to war because they're backing out, i.e., using the the US
Yeah.
dollar
Okay.
as
Okay.
their,
I
yeah,
just wanted to clarify it's a real
yeah,
war, right? Because you could
yeah.
the space race was technically a cold
Right.
war
Right, right,
between
right,
the
right.
United States
No,
and Russia. So a
war,
hot war, going into a hot
war.
war with
Yeah,
Russia. Obviously, war is a big profiting game, right? There's tons of money to be made in war. If war was not profitable, I can bet you my bottom dollar, no country will go to war ever, right? If invading another country didn't make you money, it wouldn't be done. So in the short term, obviously investors get shaky. You'll see the stock market possibly crash. You'll
right?
see crypto possibly crash, right? Along with the stock market, short term. Long term, at the end of that war, wherever that war ends up, people are going to be eating up Bitcoin, right? The countries are going to be eating up Bitcoin, right? Because if these countries get hit with massive sanctions, there's a breakout of a world war. People need to pick sides. Countries are going to go pro Bitcoin, pro crypto, to get away from the dollar. The dollar
Right.
will eventually end up losing its status as a world reserve currency. And at the end of the day, I think I'm not saying that it needs to happen through war, but I do believe that the world needs to become decentralized. Right? We have lived under in a world where the United States is number one, controls the world, polices the world, and everybody just waits around for the United States to make a move.
Yeah,
Then we'll decide. Right?
yeah,
The world needs to break up that structure and say, you do you, that's cool for you, but this works better for me. And
yeah.
we've also noticed what happened with China. There's a there's a big centralization in China. They are the biggest manufacturers. We produce nothing. We
Hmm.
just buy from them. What
Hmm.
happened when the fog around the world hit? They shut down. Our supply chains shut down because we depend on them, because there's no decentralization. Everything is dependent in that
Yeah,
one area versus
yeah.
having a more decentralized supply chain, more decentralized manufacturing, decentralized money. We no longer have to deal and fear one country.
I man, I think that China sometimes is playing chess, and it feels as if other people, other countries are playing checkers sometimes,
Dude,
because they
China's
do.
aiming for number one. They're not. They're
Yes.
not. They're not just like, oh, we're just gonna chill here and produce fake rip knockoffs. Like that's
Yeah.
not their goal. Their goal is to be number one.
Yeah, and the ultimately, something was said in the chat about, our leaders and our leadership and this, that, and the third. The reality is, guys, the response to the fog around the world, right? The response, I don't want to get into, we can't get into that because of YouTube, right? I think you guys, most of you probably know my position on the pandemic, right? But the response absolutely 100% um, presented us with these issues. The way that we responded fiscally, financially, has put us here. And now the rest of the world has to essentially, quote unquote, deal with it. And with all of the instability all over the place, what we ultimately start trying to put pressure on the two biggest superpowers, right? But I don't even think they take us very serious right now. Not because our military is not serious, not because of it. There's question marks there,
they're
man.
just as serious militarily, right?
Yeah.
We're spread thin. We have bases all over the world. We
Oh
have
yeah.
things to constantly be, surveilling. We got resources everywhere. But that's the difference between them and us. We're spread thin. They're concentrated. They have one goal. Meanwhile, our goal is trying to protect the entire world, right? They're just out there for number one themselves and making sure their goals are accomplished. So yes, people in the comments are saying, right, countries have been overthrown, their regimes have been overthrown to protect the petrodollar.
Hmm.
Yes, but none of those countries have been superpowers like
Right.
China and Russia. They're nobody to be messed around with, right? When Russia speaks or China, the U.S. listens, right? They might not agree, but they listen. It's not North Korea, jibber jabbering in the background. They're like, "Ah, okay, yeah, whatever.
So hold
We'll
on.
deal with you
So
later."
pause. So pause. You never really answered my question from before. If that were to happen, if the war related and centered around that, what's my Bitcoin doing, bruh? Is my
It's
Bitcoin
pumping,
is my
baby.
Bitcoin just like pumping to the moon? Are we literally gonna be in a state of world war and I'm gonna be like kicking
Yeah.
back, like counting my sats?
What what
Or
what 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 happens to the dollars when you go to war, right? They start pumping, right? They start pumping. People start making money. So same thing will happen with with Bitcoin, right? First main focus would be getting companies to create more miners, producing more hash rate inside their countries,
it would
accumulating
be
as much.
hash wars,
Yes,
literally
there'd be
hash
hash
wars.
wars.
Okay.
There'd be wars to try to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, as rapidly as possible, to have control, right? Because whoever holds the more, whoever is the bigger whale, they can eat the smaller whales, and if the smaller whales swim with the bigger whale, it benefits them, right? They automatically can, relax. But that's what would happen. And that would just lead to hyper Bitcoinization, right? The country would adopt more Bitcoin and Bitcoin price would skyrocket.
Do you know how much power would be given back to the people truly if this happens? So let's talk this through, right? This happens, okay? Unless our government and every other government has been somewhat like not somewhat has been 100% dishonest with us. The reality is until yesterday with the 3 point something billion dollars, until then the case could be made that Elon Musk would be our new freaking president, or Michael Saylor, right, is going to be leading the charge. But the reality is, unless they've been out and out full on lying to us, how much power would it get? I mean, Miguel, it would go from, if they haven't been lying to us and they genuinely aren't really holding much to speak of, right? And it turns into what ultimately is the world reserve currency, or enough people back out of the US dollar that it just has to happen that way, whether they actually turn to Bitcoin or not. If the rest of the world backs out of the dollar, right, I think Bitcoin also pumps, right?
Yep.
So I think there's some awful things that could happen and our country could take an absolute beating. But I also think as part of that, there could be a really, really bullish case made for what Bitcoin and probably a lot of other cryptocurrencies could actually do, because of the fact that, hey, now we have some real deal use case and it is going to be used because it kind of has to be used.
Yeah, so I'm going to call devil's advocate on that.
Okay.
So there is something that I want to point out, and it comes along with this question, right? Do you guys think the lower class will be left out of hyper Bitcoinization happens? Yes, they will. They're being left out right now, right? We talk about how early crypto is, yet most people, and I know from experience, the most people that I talk to, most people that are in crypto that speak to the people around them, they don't know anything about crypto. They're not buying
Yeah.
anything,
Okay.
and if they do, they got $50, $100, that at most $1,000 at most I hear out there.
Okay.
That's not. I'm sorry, but that's not enough. That's not going to make it for you
So
with
you're calling
hyper
devil's
Bitcoinization.
advocate for what?
I'm calling devil's advocate on. You said the fact that if hyper Bitcoinization
Hmm.
happens,
Hmm.
it would bring massive power back to the people,
Oh
and
yeah,
I don't think
100%. You want to know
I
why?
don't agree. I don't agree with that.
You want to know why? I think it would. Okay, yeah. So and again, guys, he said devil's advocate. So this is where we do a little couple minute little mini debate, right? And so my side on this would be, if the people realized, right, realized that we were in that position, I believe that we would try to form, especially all these crypto nerds that hold these massive amounts of crypto. I believe we would try to form a DAO. You cannot tell me that if that happened, that you don't think Elon Musk in all of his glory and Michael Saylor and them would not team up and say, hey, you know what? Let's really put this to the test. We ultimately don't like, you've heard Elon Musk out and out like diss our, our government right now, right? And so he's not happy. The majority of people, you can just look at the numbers, are not happy, right? And so now we would have an opportunity to join together and actually show the use case for crypto on the level of a DAO. If now this only truly works, I believe, and I don't know what the numbers are, right? This only truly works two things. One, if the CIA or another 3-letter agency didn't actually create Bitcoin, right? So that's definitely a caveat there. And the second thing is that they don't actually own some massive amount of because if we were, I mean, think about it. If we had the money printer, right? So now there's no money printer with Bitcoin, but if we had the money printer, the people had the money printer and not the government, how all of a sudden the roles change. So tell me how you don't see that.
So outside of the DAO situation, I'll circle back to that. But
Okay, Jen Psaki.
outside of that, right? The minute hyper Bitcoinization happens, I believe we're gonna have super stringent KYC, super stringent regulation happening that will favor the government's position in crypto and not favor the people's position, right? So instantly, we're also going to see companies like we're seeing now, right? Cash App, Apple getting into Bitcoin, right? And all these like little payment situations, right? And all these custodial services take control of people's crypto because of convenience, because of safety, because of regulations. We'll hold it for you. At the same time, Bitcoin is not anonymous, right?
Right.
Instant surveillance of everything that happens
Agreed.
monetarily, right?
Agreed.
So these are all things in favor. None of these things empower people because it would Bitcoin and crypto empowers people now, but the minute hyper Bitcoinization happens in the fact that governments are adopting it and saying we're going to be using this instead of the dollar situation, they're
Right.
going to twist it into their benefit, right? So then instantly there would, in my opinion, there would be a war for privacy coins, Monero, Zcash, and other cryptocurrencies that provide privacy layers. And if Bitcoin can't bring that to the table, we're not going to be empowered, right? And automatically, these governments are probably going to outright ban these cryptos. They're probably going to they might even put some hardcore regulations of like, hey, you can't hold your crypto in cold storage. We need to be aware 100% of all your wallets, whitelisted them for tax purposes.
That's like
See
saying you
where
can't hold dope though, Miguel. There's a lot of dope dealers out in the
Oh,
country.
I understand, right? I understand, right? There's cartels, there's all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
100%. That would always exist. But
Yeah.
the majority don't, right? The majority, that's a small group of people of population compared to the masses that will automatically bend the knee to the regulations, and they will once again
Bitcoiners
give the
bending the
pop.
knee?
It's well, but hold on, it's not Bitcoiners, right? Bitcoiners are the people that are in it now. When
Yeah.
this happens,
Okay.
the rest of the world is pushed into it. They don't know anything about Bitcoin. They don't care about the
But
Bitcoin
look at the
crypto.
lack of
They don't care
supply
about.
right now.
They don't,
So it
hold
would
on,
be
hold on. I'm not.
Bitcoiners
I'm not.
holding that.
Hold on. Yeah, I understand, but
Okay.
that would be broken down into fractions, right? People are going to
Okay.
be forced into Bitcoin.
All
The
right.
grand majority of people don't care about the crypto revolution. Don't care about this or that, the technology, right? They're just going to be pushed into this thing, and they're going to be pushed in a certain direction. Hey, the way of regulation. This is the way it works. This is how you got to do it. If you don't want to go to jail, if you don't want to have IRS problems, this is how you do it. And they'll be like, sure thing, boss. Whatever you say, boss. Right? The Bitcoiners would then, the crypto people that are here for the revolution, they will be the cartels, right? They would be the people on the
Oh my
drug war,
God.
right? In the drug war, right? They're gonna be the ones fighting the government for these rights. They're the ones that are gonna be scrambling up their transactions using Samurai Wallet and Tornado Cash and all these things
Yeah.
to fight for privacy. we're gonna be the outlaws.
Hey,
The
let me tell you
majority of the
something.
people, the
Let me
majority,
tell
yeah,
you something. I got a hardware wallet for you, man. Just meet me out back and we take care of it, okay, man?
yeah. So my point is that it won't empower people. It will once again be spun in a way where banking and the governments take over and deal with it. The DAO situation that you brought up, maybe, right? But we have to see what their regulation is like in the future when it comes
Yeah,
to
but
these
if
type
they
of things,
but the
because
thing is,
they can cut the head off of it real quick.
well, they could. I mean, let's be real. Let's be very real. If the I think the most powerful thing that a government could do would be to shut down the internet, right? Because I believe, and actually, I know that our military has other ways of communicating, right? And at this point, we shut the internet is
Yeah,
how
there's other networks.
is
There's
how we organize, right? And so there would be, small, sects of people, and there would be groups that would be able to communicate, and people would get together and make these compounds and this, that, and the third. But that's fractals. That's little small areas, right? So, but I think if they did that, they're ultimately shutting down things for themselves as well, but they're shutting down that ability to transact in the way that we want. Now, if you've already got all of your stuff on hardware wallets, right? And we have, and there's but even still, man, yeah. So I guess what I'm getting at is, if they're going to go that route, they could just shut the whole thing down and say, no, like my way or the highway. And the thing that scares me is not what Sean was just saying, which I'm going to bring up in a second. Not that they hold so much of it. It's that they literally are starting to now. You see with like the Freedom Convoy, like some of these countries are saying, like, you're gonna do what we tell you to do. Like, they started making gas cans illegal to carry around. So what did the people do? Hundreds and thousands of people started carrying around gas cans through the streets because they couldn't search everybody, they couldn't ticket everybody. And so I love that the people are stepping up and saying, hey, enough's enough. But at some point, right, if the government really wants to throttle down and they have enough people on, willing to, if they have enough police, if they have enough, Marines, if they have enough, it gets hard at that point. It does. And it could be ugly really quick.
Yeah,
I want to show
I,
this real quick. Hold
I
on one
agree.
second. Sean says, it troubles me because I've always thought of Bitcoin as the people's currency for individual liberty, which I agree. Now the government is the third largest owner of Bitcoin. It concerns me. So, yeah, man,
Yeah,
he's not wrong.
it's gonna happen.
He's not
It's gonna
wrong.
happen.
Is this the entry? Is this their entry into
Hyper
Bitcoin? Is
Bitcoinization.
that because, dude, this whole thing? I know I'm getting a little bit off, but I'm not, because this all has to do with what we're talking about. This whole Bitfinex thing feels funny, man. I've heard people talking about it today, and even before I heard everybody else talking about it, it feels funky. It feels off. It just doesn't sit. It
Yeah, they
feels
were
it,
saying that they've been in contact with Bitfinex or something, and they're gonna give the money back, yada yada. But even if they give back this Bitcoin, guys, even if they give it back, what makes you so sure they're not holding more than that amount already in other wallets, in other ways, right? Just how we don't know how much drugs the DEA has in the CEA, right? How much they're importing from Afghanistan and all these other countries, right? And they're running these entire drug operations to fund their own operations. We don't know how much Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies the government has through whatever three-letter agency that
yeah.
is not the government, right? But has all types of unlimited powers, that is running these operations, that are running miners, that are running all kinds of things to be able to position themselves when the moment comes. There is no situation ever in my possible mind that no one in the entire agency of the government, right? Not just Congress and the White House, because when you say government, everybody just thinks Congress, White House. Outside of that, there's a lot of government situations that are happening that no one has ever thought, just in the past 5 years, hey, this Bitcoin crypto thing, well, we should be having a contingency plan for this. Like, we need to start positioning ourselves somehow, so in case scenario A, B, C, D, all the way down to Z and back to
But
A
you believe we
happens,
don't?
we
You
don't have a
believe we don't?
position.
You believe we don't have a contingency plan?
No, I'm saying that there is no way that we don't have a
Oh, there's no way
contingency
that we
plan.
don't.
That we
Okay.
don't have a
Okay.
contingency plan to
Okay.
position ourselves in a situation that would empower the United States when it comes to crypto.
So K Group, I want to do this for you. Hey, we're all about education, and I want to just I will tell you what I know you're like thinking like, wait a minute, please elaborate on this. Just briefly, I am going to elaborate on it. Um, and essentially, there was a massive hack of Bitfinex, and I think it was like $70 million at the time, right? Which has now turned into $3.5 billion. But essentially, this husband and wife got caught, and there's not a lot of details. This is going to literally take a bunch of time to really, churn out. But a husband and wife got caught laundering the Bitcoin, right? They got caught laundering. They were using they used Uber, I think. They used ultimately it was like Walmart gift cards that they were utilizing, buying them like $500 at a time. Guys, how long do you think it would take at $500 at a time to spend $3.5 billion? And the thing is, man, here's my thought. Whether that couple had anything to do with the hack or not, it feels like they were probably just a scapegoat. But whether they had anything to do with the hack or not, if you're smart enough to be able to, I believe, to be able to take $70 million, which turns into 3.5 billion, but $70 million from an exchange, right? That is hyper aware of security, right? If you're smart enough to do that, they have to know that these wallets have been being watched. They have to know that ultimately, the moment we start moving these around, it's going to toss up a red flag. Like, I don't know. That's why it feels weird. And it's like,
Not just that, but I feel it's very suspicious that it happened like 4 years ago, and this is the best plan they came up with to get the money out in
yeah,
4 years. You
yeah,
had 4 years to have a mastermind plan on how to make this happen, and you said, "I'm gonna use Walmart gift cards."
yeah.
That's the way to go with it, right? I find that very suspicious. I do agree. Big party were
And
scapegoats.
then
It'd be
Cameron,
also.
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. I was gonna say it was. It'd be awesome. It'd be very possible that the United States gives the money back, but in dollars and not in Bitcoin. Gives them back the 4.5 or the 3 point whatever billion dollars that it was in dollars because
What, and hold the
technically,
Bitcoin? Not dump it
huh?
back onto the Bitcoin price
The
dropped because of
government will hold the Bitcoin and they
okay.
will give Bitfinex the dollar amount that it's worth, right? To Bitfinex to give the money back. That they'd be
Okay.
technically giving the money back because Bitfinex, if I'm wrong, I don't know, correct me here, but all these exchanges eventually kind of just pay you back. Like if you lose your money
Mhm.
because it's their fault, they just kind of replenish whatever you
Well,
lost
the big
on
ones
their
do.
fault.
They
Yeah.
definitely try
So
to. But you
um,
don't the I don't know. It just yeah, at the end of the day, like just to make it really simple, the whole thing feels funky. It doesn't feel right. It's so much freaking money, and you're right, Miguel. It's just only two people. This is all they came up with, right? They didn't, but we don't have all the information. And Cameron said something about like wasn't Bitfinex under investigation, right? Miguel said, well, what if they give them back dollars? The Bitcoin price actually dumped not dumped, but it dropped yesterday when this news came out. Like, what did people think was going to happen? Did they think that literally the United States was just going to like jump onto freaking crypto.com and start dumping billions of dollars of Bitcoin on an exchange? Like, what, I mean, what did they think was going to happen? I don't understand. If anything, we talked about it yesterday. They'll auction it off at basically market value, and they'll keep the dollar if they're so confident in their dollar. I think it'll be interesting though, Miguel. I don't think
but
that's what they're going
Russia
to
has
do.
changed the game now.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
Russia's
I'm
making
saying.
moves,
I
right?
think
We
they're going to
also
hold now.
Russia's making moves.
Yep.
We're seeing Arizona also making moves, right, at the state level, trying to make Bitcoin legal tender, pushing this. Even though states that depending on the constitution, on the dependent on the constitution, they cannot make legal tender, right? That states do not contain that power. So they're going to be pushing the federal government into that. We're seeing more and more politicians promising to be pro Bitcoin, pro this, pro that.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I think all these promises should be in a smart contract, and they should get booted if they don't fulfill their situation. But outside of that, I think there is going to be more political pressure from states and some state politicians to really push for a federal change in the situation for Bitcoin.
Let me pause here real quick, guys. If you are just coming in, please make sure that you guys smash up the likes. It tells YouTube, that you guys love what we got going on here. Hopefully, you guys enjoy everything here. As a reminder, we're asking everybody to make sure to follow us on Twitter. So I'm going to toss that up here. Follow us on Twitter, DebateCrypto OG. Make sure you got the OG on the end there. Yeah, if you guys are wanting to get a little bit more heavily involved, a little bit into the inner layer, the inner sanctum of Miguel and I, we have our Debate Crypto Academy, also known on Telegram as the Debate Crypto Dojo, right? Where Sensei Miguel and Sensei Nick are just doing our thing over there in private seminars on Sundays and whatnot. So Miguel, let's kind of wrap this up. So all right. The what if is like what if this is a game changer for how the world can for the world reserve currency, really, because ultimately there is now pressure especially from the standpoint of China and Russia saying, hey, let's do a handshake deal to say the heck with the US, we won't transact in US dollars and we can move forward. Now, they have not said that they're going to use Bitcoin, but they have said we don't need the US, and this is a discussion to be had. So somebody asked in the chat, and I kind of want to round it out with this. They said, how do I make money off this off of this Russia thing? So Miguel, in all your wisdom, in all your glory, tell me, how do we make money off of the information that we dropped out there tonight?
So not financial advice, disclaimer first, right? Like we said before, question everything, trust nothing. But
buy Bitcoin.
What I would say is buy and hold.
I knew that's what you were.
And that's how you would make money. Buy and hold.
Crypto fam, listen, we appreciate each and every one of you here tonight. We enjoy coming on here. We enjoy cutting up, having fun, but ultimately our goal is to educate you. It is question everything, trust nothing. And we say that because the focus of our channel is on literally deep thinking and debating on ideas, right? As a reminder, Saturday night, the next debate is on, and I can only tell you one of the two, and I can tell you the topic. But Mine Your Biz is going to be on Saturday night, and we are going to be debating proof of work versus proof of stake. Okay. And obviously, Mine Your Biz is a miner, right? Got a nice following over on YouTube and some other socials. And he is just Miguel, dude, he's smart, bro. I've been on around the blockchain with him a number of times. We need to confirm that the person coming on the proof of stake is going to be able to throw hands, so to speak, as it relates to the cryptoverse, because he's got super freaking smart, and he's very well spoken, and I feel like he's just gonna do well in a debate. So if you guys have liked the other debates, make sure that you guys are here again. We're trying to do these every single week, guys. It takes a lot of planning. We get out the questions early. They're fun. It seems like people love them. So yeah, proof of work versus proof of stake this Saturday night. Anything else, Miguel, that I'm forgetting to throw out there? Anything else?
Nope. I don't know. That's everything.
All right, crypto fam. We love each and every one of you. If nobody's told you before today, that is just a fact. That's the truth. We love you guys. And trust nothing. Well, hold on. Did I say backwards? Hold on a second.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Question everything.
Trust nothing.
And hodl.
Like